Chapter 8:17. Tang Gua and Qin Jiu came to Family Tang's original villa. When they arrived, it was already very late. It was quieter here, so they climbed over the wall and entered. Tang Gua floated in easily. Qin Jiu was quite skilled as well. When they first came, they thought that Family Tang had moved out and this place belonged to someone else. That was why they did not climb over. Now that they knew that the villa was not sold, it belonged to Family Tang. Tang Gua was the owner of the villa, so she could enter. The villa was very clean. It was obvious that someone often came to clean it. What did you see? Tang Gua asked Qin Jiu. Qin Jiu shook his head. I didn't see anything. What about you? Tang Gua shook her head as well. I didn't feel any other ghosts. If there were, they might have been caught or destroyed. Her expression was cold. Just as the woman had said, the ghost that appeared here was most likely her mother, Song Xiaoyun. I'm familiar with the Taoist priests who catch ghosts. With Family Tang's status, they probably wouldn't hire someone without a name. I'll help you ask around and see who has come to Family Tang to catch ghosts. After Qin Jiu finished speaking, he took out his phone and found a group chat. He sent his question to the group chat. Tang Gua glanced at the screen and smiled. Your circle is so trendy now. There's even a group chat. We can't fall behind. If we gather together, it'll be easier to get business. It'll be convenient for many big bosses to contact each other. The group leader and group administrator are responsible for contacting those bosses. Qin Jiu said nonchalantly. Even if you're a Taoist priest, you have to keep up with the times. Those profiteers are more cunning than the last. If you fall behind, you'll be cheated easily. Hearing this, Tang Gua burst into laughter. I can tell you've been cheated before. In the beginning, I was cheated badly. Qin Jiu did not mind digging up his own dark history. I didn't earn a single cent from my first business. I had just left the mountain. That day, I rested under the bridge. The next day, I sat on a bench in the park for the whole night. On the third day, I earned money for lunch. And then? How did you earn your first bucket of gold? Tang Gua asked curiously. Qin Jiu sat down and shared, I passed by the park. You know, there are many fortune tellers in the park. I know, but I also know that most of the things here are lies. Qin Jiu nodded. The fortune teller I saw at the park that day was lying. But after a few days of lessons, I didn't expose them. Instead, I sat aside and watched how they received business. They don't need to calculate accurately. Usually, there are two methods. One is to look on the bright side. If the customer is happy, they will be very generous. Secondly, if the customers are worried, they will ask him to think of a solution. At this time, he can promote his products, such as fake talismans and fake evil-warding jade pendants. Those people are stupid and will really buy them. Then you learned it. Yes, but the things I took out were all real. My prices were also more expensive than theirs. Later, I slowly gained a reputation and stopped setting up my stall in the park. Tang Gua floated around for a while. She really liked the feeling of floating. She turned around and said, I'm guessing that when your business was good, you must have been ganged up by the fortune tellers in the park. They wanted to beat you up, but in the end, you beat them up badly. You're so smart. You even guessed that. Tang Gua floated in front of Qin Jiu and blinked. Of course, I'm a smart and beautiful female ghost. The face that was so close to him made Qin Jiu feel uncomfortable. He quickly looked down at his phone. Someone had already answered him. Who is it? Tang Gua asked. Chapter 8:18. Fong Tianshi, Qin Jiu replied. Qin Jiu replied with a complicated expression. He looked at Tang Gua and observed her expression. If the ghost in the villa was really Song Xiaoyun, then it would be fine if Song Xiaoyun was captured by Fang Tianshi. But if she was killed by Fang Tianshi, he was sure that the ghost in front of him would not hesitate to kill Fang Tianshi. Even though they had not known each other for long, he knew her well. From her attitude towards the village, he could tell that she was not a soft-hearted ghost. Instead, she was a vengeful ghost. What's the relationship between Fang Tianshi and Fang Yunqi? Tang Gua asked with a smile. Qin Jiu glanced at her and replied, he's Fang Yunqi's master. Was Fang Yunqi there at the time? Yes. Oh, other than the two of them, was there anyone else involved? Qin Jiu paused. Let me ask. He sent this question in the group and soon received an answer. At the time, they were also approached by your father. Later, they came to the mansion to look around and rejected them. Why? It's a cycle of karma. Don't be fooled by the TV series. Even though Taoists catch ghosts, they don't care about all kinds of ghosts. At least, most Taoists don't care about ghosts that have karma. Only when the ghost implicates other innocent people will they take action. Otherwise, if they take action, it will result in karma. Tang Guo was curious. Then why did Fang Tianshi dare to accept? He's an exception. Qin Jiu coughed lightly. He's called the most righteous Daoist by many bosses. As long as it's a ghost-catching job, he will accept it regardless of karma. In his mind, ghosts no longer belong to the human world. Since they want to disturb the human world and harm people, they should be destroyed. I suspect that he watched too many ghost movies when he was young, and that's why he developed this kind of thinking. Tang Gua had a look of realization. I was wondering why Fang Yunqi looked so retarded. It turns out that he has such a righteous master. He's the type of Daoist that I hated the most in the ghost-catching TV series when I was young. Do your friends know what happened to the ghost in the end? Tang Guo was a bit concerned about this. I'll ask again. After Qin Jiu sent this question, the group fell silent for a moment before someone replied, I heard from that brat Fang Yunqi that the ghost's soul dissipated. When Tang Guo saw this line of words, her face turned cold. Her smile turned into a sneer. It turned out that his soul had been destroyed. That ghost seems to have caused a woman to miscarry. Normally, under such circumstances, Fang Tianshi would not send this kind of ghost that has harmed human lives to the temple. It must have been destroyed. Qin Jiu, why are you asking about this? Could it be that you've accepted a job related to this family Tang? Qin Jiu, don't be blinded by money. There was something wrong with Fang Tianqi's brain. He always thought that ghosts could not exist in this world, that ghosts could not exist among humans. Ghosts that killed people must die, and ghosts that did not kill people must be sent to the afterlife to be purified. But you're different. The cause and effect of family Tang is complicated. You can't get involved. Once you get involved, you won't be able to get away. Just wait and see. One day, Fang Tianshi will die because of karma. It's a pity that brat Fang Yunqi was also led astray. His future is bleak. When Tang Guo saw this sentence, her eyes narrowed. It seems that most Taoists are reasonable people. The group was noisy. Qin Jiu said that he would leave first and turned off his phone. Are you going to find Fang Tianshi for revenge? Let's make things clear first. Chapter 8:19. For the next few days, Qin Jiu became busier as he searched for clues about Song Xiaoyun's accident. The problem was that the place where Song Xiaoyun got into the accident was a small road and there were no surveillance cameras around. The driver who caused the accident could not be found. No matter how rich the family Tang was, they would not be able to find a fugitive in this place. There were not many cars on this small road in a day. At that moment, Qin Jiu was in a difficult situation. There are no clues at all. My divination method is not accurate. A human and a ghost were currently on the small road. At this moment, Tanggua took out the spirit summoning banner that Imo Yuntian had given her. When Qin Jiu saw this eerie thing, even his soul felt a chill. As expected, this female ghost was not simple. She had an immortal weapon and a ghost weapon. What was her background? It was definitely not as simple as being the daughter of the family Tang. Could it be that she was originally a powerful ghost king in the ghost world and wanted to experience life, so she reincarnated into the human world? Qin Jiu, what are you thinking about? Tanggua noticed that Qin Jiu's expression was complicated. His eyes were blank as if he was in deep thought. She looked at him with a smile. Are you thinking about how beautiful I am? Qin Jiu's mouth twitched. Who could tell him why there was such a narcissistic female ghost in this world? Is this a ghost weapon? Yes, I plan to summon the ghosts around. There are a lot of wandering ghosts on the road. I'll be able to get something out of them. That's good too. Qin Jiu agreed. He stood a little further away. This ghost weapon had some effect on him. It gave his soul a very uncomfortable feeling. If he did not control it, he felt that his soul would float up. Qin Jiu, refine the immortal sword. Then you won't be afraid of the spirit summoning banner. Qin Jiu remembered that he still had the immortal sword. He quickly did as he was told. After a while, the immortal sword was refined by him. At this time, when he approached the spirit summoning banner, he did not feel the eerie feeling from before. His soul was also stable in his body and did not feel like floating out. About an hour later, there were many ghosts around Tanggua. Because she had the spirit summoning banner, she did not need to use her strength to scare them. All the ghosts were very obedient and waited for her to speak. I only have one question. She told them about Song Xiaoyun's accident 3 years ago. She asked them to recall who had killed Song Xiaoyun, whether they could remember the license plate number, and what the driver looked like. Many of them were new ghosts. They shook their heads, indicating that they were still human 3 years ago, and Tanggua had let them go. The remaining ghosts that had existed for a long time all frowned as they thought about what had happened 3 years ago. Tanggua thought about it and had Qin Jiu show them Song Xiaoyun's picture. Take a look at the photos before you recall. With the photo, a few of the little ghosts quickly said that they remembered. Their memories were not complete, but with the help of the ghosts, they were able to piece together the car plate number. As for the driver's face, they couldn't remember it clearly. They only knew that it was a tall man and nothing else. With the license plate number, it would be easy to find the person. Tanggua glanced at them. Why are you still wandering ghosts? Didn't your family take you home? If they were not taken home by their family, the ghosts would not be able to leave the place where they had the accident. After a long time, they would become wandering ghosts and could not be reincarnated. These little ghosts looked unrecognizable. They were all very pitiful. They indicated that they were foreigners and their family did not take them home. They had become wandering ghosts. Oh, then I'll help you release your souls and send you to reincarnation. Tanggua said with a smile. Consider it as a thank you for helping me. Chapter 820. Qin Jiu did not dare to believe it. Could a ghost chant sutras for other ghosts? But what was that female ghost sitting cross-legged over there, covered in Buddhist light? The sutras she chanted had already turned into golden runes that floated into the little ghost's body. Did he see a ghost? That's not right. Other than him, there were ghosts everywhere. Didn't he see a ghost? That female ghost had a benevolent look on her face. At this moment, she did not look like a female ghost. She did not have a trace of ghostly aura around her. She looked very peaceful, like a senior monk. And the little ghosts sitting around her were so comfortable that they were about to fall asleep. The souls that were originally unrecognizable gradually became clear. They returned to how they were when they were alive. The ghostly aura and grievous energy also disappeared. When the souls became transparent, Tangua stopped chanting. Tangua looked at the little ghosts that were looking at her with gratitude. She formed a hand seal and a door appeared beside them. This was the gate of reincarnation. You can go. The little ghosts knelt down and bowed to her. Then, they jumped into the gate of reincarnation happily. Tangua looked at their happy faces and felt a little envious. At the same time, she sighed to the system. Actually, after going through so many worlds, it's not that it's useless. At least now, I know what I need and what I need. If possible, I also want to help myself. But it seems like it's useless. Her Buddhist teachings were learned from a senior monk. They were good friends. When she was about to die, she even begged the other party to help her transcend. She wanted him to send her into the cycle of reincarnation. At that time, she did enter the gate of reincarnation. But when she opened her eyes, she was in a different world. Thinking about this, it was quite annoying. Daoist Qin, why are you looking at me? After Tangua sighed, she realized that Qin Jiu was looking at her intently. If you stare at me like this, I will misunderstand. Qin Jiu looked away. Thinking about what happened just now, he still did not dare to believe it. This beautiful female ghost was really mysterious. A ghost helping another ghost to reincarnate. This was really unheard of. You misunderstood. Qin Jiu hurriedly explained, now that we have the car plate number, let's move immediately. Sure. Tangua did not delve too deeply into this issue. They were both familiar souls, but they had no memories. Their outlook on life was also different. Although she felt that the other party was a little cute, it was not a bad idea to develop a relationship. If he really could not seduce her, she could only let it go. She was not someone who would force others. However, for those who were interested, it was okay to fight for more. She floated to Qin Jiu's side and asked with a smile, Daoist Qin, are you really not planning to have a spectacular human ghost love? Qin Jiu didn't dare to look at her face. That face was too beautiful, and those eyes were too mesmerizing. He was afraid that if he looked at her for too long, he would fall into her trap and have a human ghost love affair with her. Female ghosts were the best at bewitching people. He was afraid that one day, he would be bewitched. All Taoist priests understood that the obstacle to the love between human and ghost was not other people, but themselves. They would definitely be separated in the future, so it was better to have nothing in the beginning. The love between a human and a ghost isn't good for either of us. Daoist Qin, do you mean that if I were a human, you wouldn't mind? Qin Jiu paused and replied, not necessarily. When it comes to feelings, you have to like each other. Oh. Tangua dragged her voice. So that was the case. Then how can Daoist Qin be sure that you won't like me in the future? After all, I'm so beautiful. Qin Jiu's expression was a little unsure whether to laugh or cry. This beautiful female ghost was really narcissistic. Chapter 8:21. I will restrain myself. He looked at Tangua and answered seriously. Ah, Daoist Qin, are you saying that you will restrain yourself from having feelings for me? Tangua continued, you even used the word restrain. It seems that Daoist Qin's heart is already wavering. There's no such thing. Qin Jiu quickened his steps. I have never seen a female ghost as talkative as you. Not only was she talkative, but she was also very thick-skinned. Did she really think that she could do whatever she wanted just because she was pretty? Didn't I see it now? Chin-jo's expression was a bit helpless. Can we not talk about this? If he continued, his mind would not be able to control its thoughts. Tang Guo looked at him with a smile. All right, I won't talk about it. I won't tease you anymore. I'm just too bored and want to talk to you more. Chin-jo suddenly thought of her past. No matter how powerful her background was, he could still feel a sense of loneliness from her. Even if she looked at him with a smile and teased him, he still felt that she was a very lonely person. If you want to talk, then talk. Chin-jo's steps slowed down. I will give you an answer. Although you might not be satisfied with the final answer, if you really want to talk, then I will talk with you. Really? Tang Guo's lips curled up. Chin-jo answered, of course. You spent a lot of money to hire me for 20 years. After saying that, Chin-jo felt a bit of regret. Actually, he wanted to talk with her, not because of the immortal sword. He subconsciously looked at her expression and did not see any signs of anger. He let out a sigh of relief. Then I won't hold back. When Chin-jo heard that, he was speechless. Daoist Chin, how old are you this year? Tang Guo asked. Chin-jo answered, 25. What kind of question was that? You're a bit young. If I was still alive, I would be 20. Just enough to get married. You and I are only 4 or 5 years apart. It's just right. We're quite compatible. Chin-jo, do you have a wife? Chin-jo, no. Do you want to find a wife? I only want to catch demons. Tang Guo floated lazily and rested her chin on one hand. Have you ever had a woman? My heart is set on catching demons to earn money. Chin-jo answered seriously. Why did this female ghost keep asking him these personal questions? Why did he have to answer them? It was as if she was checking his account. Oh, that means you haven't. You're already 25 and you haven't had a woman yet. How strange. Chin-jo was speechless. Before his master died, he was 80 years old and had never had a woman. He thought that he was still very young. He was only 25 years old. There would be plenty of opportunities in the future. Then, Daoist priest Chin, what kind of woman do you like? Tang Guo asked him with a smile. Chin-jo's mouth was already trembling uncontrollably. He quickly replied, I'm focused on catching demons and making money. I'm very busy and have no time. I've never thought about it. Since you're quite free now, do you want to think about it? System, you've played too much. Host, you're so bad, so bad. I'm too inexperienced. I can't figure out what kind of person I like. Maybe I'll only know when I meet her, or maybe I'll never meet her in my entire life. Wasn't his master one of them? He thought that he would just muddle along for the rest of his life. Moreover, his talent was not bad. Who knew, he might become an immortal one day. Then if you meet her, don't miss the chance. Tang Guo raised her chin and pointed at herself. For example, if you have any feelings for me, you have to confess to me as soon as possible. Chapter 822. Chin-jo wanted to say that it was impossible for him to have any thoughts about the female ghost, even if she was very beautiful. However, just as he was about to say it, something flashed through his mind and he swallowed his words. Daoist Chin, you seemed to want to say something, but you stopped. Chin-jo quickly shook his head. No, nothing at all. Let's talk about something else. Don't keep talking about me. Chin-jo changed the topic. For example, let's talk about you. He was very curious about her. Tangua's smile did not disappear. This little Taoist priest was really too cute. Alright, I'll listen to you. Let's talk about me. That's right, you don't even know me well, so why would you have any thoughts about me? Tangua nodded, ignoring Qinzhou's face that was about to crack. Since Taoist Qin wants to know more about us, then I'll talk about me. My name is Tangua. I told you before that I was 17 when I died. It's been 3 years since then, and I'm a little over 20 now. I think I'm quite good looking. I'm a ghost now, but I'm quite capable. Not only can I float, but I can also materialize. So, after we're in a relationship, it's not a problem for us to do some intimate things. Qinzhou was speechless. He regretted asking her to talk about you. After interacting with her for so many days, he should have known that this female ghost was taking advantage of him. She was completely thick-skinned. If we're together, I promise that I'll only like you and treat you well. Of course, the premise is that you can only like me and treat me well. You're not allowed to betray me. Tangua smiled and said, now that I'm a ghost and Taoist Qin is alone, there won't be any obstacles if we're together. If there are any moralists who want to meddle in our business, you don't have to be afraid. I'll take care of as many as they come. I won't let anyone bully you. If they dare to gossip, I'll catch them and beat them until they don't dare to meddle in our business. In any case, I'll treat you very, very well. Taoist Qin, are you tempted? Qinzhou's heart skipped a beat. He could tell that she was not joking. Those beautiful eyes were so clear that one could see the bottom. They were like bright stars. There was no calculation in them, only pure expression of her thoughts. Do ghosts like to dream in broad daylight? Qinzhou shifted his gaze away. Alright, we're about to reach the train station. Let's get down to business first. He couldn't help but think that this female ghost actually said that she wanted to protect him. Even if something were to happen between them, shouldn't he be the one protecting her? Don't all the women in this world want their man to protect them? Of course, the men naturally wanted to protect their women. This female ghost was indeed a little special. Taoist Qin, I'm not joking. If you think it through and think that you like me, you should confess to me as soon as possible. I'm only going to stay here for 20 years. When I'm gone, you'll never have the chance to see me again. Qinzhou responded vaguely and did not say anything else. System, dear host, this Taoist priest is not enlightened. You can't provoke him. Fine, I won't move. I'm just flirting out of habit. If he likes me, then everyone's happy. If he doesn't like me, then I can't force him. System, if that's the case, doesn't dear host feel that it's a pity? This kid is quite likable. He's not a moralist. Chapter 823. It's a little regretful, but I can't just tie her up and force her, can I? The system didn't understand, but he was husband and wife with the host in his previous life. Like you said, that was his previous life. In this life, he doesn't have any memories of his previous life. He is a different person. Do you understand? Tongzi, we have to improve and not live in the past. System, shit. Tangua suddenly stopped talking, and the surroundings became quiet. Qinzhou was not used to it, and subconsciously turned to look at her, only to find that she was leisurely looking at the surrounding scenery. Occasionally, 2 wild ghosts would appear and wander around. She would pat their heads, and the little ghosts would tremble in fear, not daring to move at all. When she floated away, the little ghosts all heaved a sigh of relief and hurriedly floated away. Qinzhou was speechless. With the license plate number, Qinzhou used his connections in the mortal world to quickly obtain information about the owner of the license plate number. They found the owner of the car. He was a skinny man, different from the ghost's description. After Qinzhou tested him, he believed that he was not the driver who caused the accident. In the end, he asked the owner of the car and found out that he had bought the car secondhand 3 years ago. Following this lead, they found out who the original owner of the car was and found his address. The perpetrator lived in a high-end residential area with excellent security. Without the consent of the occupant, he could not enter. "I'll go in," Tang Guo said. "It's better if I go in. I'll disguise myself as my mother and go in. If the other party still remembers my mother, they'll definitely give themselves away. After that, it will be much easier to find out the truth." Qinzhou hesitated for a moment before saying, "Be careful. Do you think anyone can hurt me?" Tang Guo turned around and smiled. "However, I'm glad that Daoist Qin is so concerned about my safety. Go in quickly and find out the truth." Qinzhou's expression was unnatural as he said. Tang Guo floated into the upscale neighborhood. Qinzhou stood not far from the neighborhood and watched her figure disappear. Even though he knew that she was very powerful, he was still worried. He remembered the flirtatious words that the female ghost had said earlier. She had said that if they were together, she would only like him. If she was a human, he might have been swayed. Qinzhou hurriedly shook his head. His expression was normal as he muttered, "Qinzhou, a demon-catching Daoist is born to catch demons. All they think about is catching demons and earning money. Look for a woman. I will never look for a woman in this lifetime." After about an hour, Qinzhou would occasionally look at the residential area. The guards of the residential area all stared at this strange man in a Daoist robe warily, thinking that he was scouting the area. In the end, he decided to just keep an eye on the neighborhood. Another half an hour later, Tang Guo floated out from inside. He couldn't help but relax. When Tang Guo floated in front of him, he asked, "How are you?" At the same time, he did not realize that he was secretly observing her to see if she was injured. "It's him. Do you know who's behind this?" Tang Guo's expression did not look good. Soon, her somewhat gloomy face raised into a smile. "It's the woman my father just married. The man in the neighborhood is her brother. According to the other party, she was originally my father's assistant, but by chance, she became my father's lover. My mother shouldn't know about this. Otherwise, with her personality, she would definitely fire that woman. After I went missing, my mother went to look for me. She asked her brother to kill my mother with a car." Chapter 8:24. "Then what do you want me to do for you?" Qinzhou felt pity for her. "Tell me what you want me to do." "No need, he'll turn himself in immediately." Tang Guo smiled. "Have you forgotten that I'm a ghost? There's a trick called being possessed. I've used it on him. After he goes to the police station, he'll obediently tell me everything. Do you want to eat anything? I'll take you there." Tang Guo looked at Qinzhou with a smile. "Of course I won't reject your treat. I want to eat anything. Are you sure you can eat those things?" Qinzhou hesitated. Tang Guo nodded. "Yes." That day, the perpetrator went to the police station to turn himself in. Not only did he confess that he had killed Song Xiaoyun 3 years ago, but he also confessed that he was the mastermind behind it. When the woman was taken away, Tang Guo floated in the family Tang villa. She watched the woman's face turn pale as she was dragged away. In the end, she stared at Father Tang, wanting to say something. Father Tang was holding their child in his arms. She looked at the child for a long time, but in the end, she didn't say anything and was taken away with a defeated expression. Tang Guo saw this scene and narrowed her eyes. It seemed that this matter wasn't simple. She didn't leave immediately. Instead, she followed Father Tang to the study. Father Tang, who should have been in pain because his late wife was killed, was sitting leisurely on the expensive leather chair. He had a smile on his face as he teased the child. "This is good too. Such a vicious woman will be a disaster if we keep her by our side. I only said that if Xiaoyun died, would definitely marry her. I didn't expect her to take it seriously and even asked her brother to kill Xiaoyun." Father Tang smiled. "I really didn't expect her to succeed. Not only did she succeed, but she also secretly got pregnant with my son." Speaking of this, his face darkened. "I never expected Xiaoyun's ghost to come back. Fortunately, all of this was done by her. It has nothing to do with me. Now, Xiaoyun's soul has been destroyed, and that vicious woman has been locked up. For the sake of our child, she will not say anything. Even if she does, it has nothing to do with me, Tang Lushing. The Tang Corporation belongs to me, Tang Lushing alone." Hearing this, how could Tang Guo not understand? Tang Lushing didn't come from a good background. Later, he was admitted to a good school and got to know Song Xiaoyun, who came from a good family. He used his sincerity to move Song Xiaoyun. The two of them got married after graduation. Tang Lu became the son-in-law of the Song family. Because Song Xiaoyun loved him a lot and he had some ability, the Song family gave him a portion of the shares. However, Tang Lushing, who had seen the prosperity, gradually felt dissatisfied. Song Xiaoyun was still a jealous lover. She had a temper and couldn't bear to see him talking to other women. As time went on, he became more and more dissatisfied. Song Xiaoyun wasn't just a young lady. After the two elders of the Song family passed away, she could totally manage the Song group with her ability. Tang Lushing had never been successful. His wife was very capable and often made him feel ashamed. After being dissatisfied, the more Song Xiaoyun didn't want him to get close to other women, the more he wanted to get close to them. He secretly had an affair with several women. Among them, the one who was most loyal to him was the woman who had been captured earlier. He thought that he could only be suppressed by Song Xiaoyun for the rest of his life. He didn't expect that when something happened to Tang Guo, Song Xiaoyun couldn't wait to find her. Because she was anxious, she went alone. He once mentioned to that woman that if Song Xiaoyun didn't exist, he would definitely marry her. Chapter 825. That woman took it seriously, which was why Song Xiaoyun was killed by a car. At first, Tang Lushing was still a little afraid, but later on, everything in the Song group fell into his hands, and he even changed the Song group's surname to Tang. That woman came to him, saying that she was pregnant, and even said that she did it, and wanted him to marry her. That was when he took over the company, and his position was not stable yet. He did not like being threatened, but he still married her. When the company was stable and everything was in his hands, Song Xiaoyun's ghost came back and caused that woman to have a miscarriage. He found a Taoist priest and destroyed Song Xiaoyun's ghost. At that time, he was still a little regretful that Song Xiaoyun did not kill that woman. He was also afraid that Song Xiaoyun would do something to him, so he did not dare to delay. Now, the only threat to him was gone, and he still had a son. As long as he raised him, this son would only listen to him, so he had nothing to worry about. Tang Guo heard Tang Lushing talking to himself. Looking at the other party's relaxed smile, she also smiled. Possessed. She made a hand seal and cast demonic obsession on Tang Lushing. Instantly, Tang Lushing's heart flashed, but it was only for a moment, and Tang Lushing did not even notice it. If he opened his clothes, he would definitely find that the talisman given to him by Fang Tianshi had turned to ashes. The system hid in the corner, watching all this while trembling. Every time it saw the host cast possessed, it felt especially scared. Tang Lushing, who was originally full of smiles, retracted his smile, took out his phone, and dialed a number. It's me, Tang Lushing. Boss Tang, do you have anything to say? I'm going to sell the shares in my hands, and the villa I live in, as well as some of my private property and collections. Help me donate all the money from the sale. Assistant Chin, help me arrange it as soon as possible, my time is limited. After Tang Lushing hung up the phone, he sat in his seat in a daze, like a wooden man. Tang Guo's lips curled up slightly. He had nothing to begin with, and he was not satisfied with everything he had. If it were not for his hint, my mother would not have been killed by a car. It's not too much to let him have nothing again. Yes, it was not too much. The host was too kind. The original recipe had the same taste. The host's great revenge always liked to take away what the other party cared about the most. Tang Guo was in a good mood and floated out of the villa. When Qin Jiu saw her coming out, he hurriedly asked, "What took you so long? Are you concerned about me or worried about me?" Tang Guo suddenly moved closer to him, scaring him so much that he took a step back. Seeing this, Tang Guo smiled. "I just found out the truth by accident and did something. That's why it took me a while." "What truth?" Tang Guo told Qin Jiu everything. After hearing this, Qin Jiu couldn't help but shake his head. Then he asked for it. "Tang Lushing has a talisman around his neck, but it's useless to me. Now that the talisman has turned to ashes, do you think the alchemist will come?" Qin Jiu's expression turned serious. "He should be here. Feng Tiancher's cultivation is very high, many powerful evil spirits have fallen into his hands." Qin Jiu said worriedly, "Don't walk alone for now, follow me." Tang Guo's eyes lit up. "You mean, if the alchemist wants to kill me, you will definitely protect me? Didn't you hire me?" Qin Jiu replied seriously. "Oh, is that so?" Hearing the disappointment in her voice, Qin Jiu was slightly anxious. "Well, even if you didn't hire me, we've known each other for so long, I will definitely help you." After saying this, he saw Tang Guo's teasing gaze, and his ears turned red. Yes, I know." Tang Guo's sweet smile made him speechless, and he actually kind of liked her smile. Damn it. Chapter 826. In 3 days, Tang Lushing sold all of his shares and all of his personal assets. Many people who knew Tang Lushing did not understand why he would suddenly make such a decision. Today was the day that Tang Lushing moved out of the villa. He pulled his suitcase and wore a suit that was neither new nor old as he walked out of the villa. Tang Guo floated to the side and watched as Tang Lushing sold all of his assets and donated them. Seeing that Tang Lushing did not have much money left, she happily floated around him. Qin Jiu looked at her happy smile and also smiled. He stood in a hidden position, silently observing all of this. Suddenly, he saw a car parked not far away. 2 men in Daoist robes were running towards him at lightning speed. One of them was a Daoist in his 50s and the other was in his early 20s. Tang Guo also noticed them. She floated to Qin Jiu's side and placed her hands on his back. The cold touch caused Qin Jiu to shiver. "What are you doing?" "Daoist Qin, you haven't experienced being pressured by ghosts before, right? After all, your Daoist skills are very high. Normal ghosts wouldn't dare to approach you." "Indeed, I haven't." Qin Jiu's body tensed up, not knowing what she was doing. Tang Guo was amused by his nervous appearance. "Daoist Qin, why are you so nervous?" "I didn't say that I was going to lie on your back. I'm just trying." She looked at the 2 people who were almost in front of Tang Lushing. "The person beside Feng Yunqi, is he Feng Tiancher?" "It's him. Be careful. He really does have some Daoist skills." Qin Jiu hesitated. If you want to lie on my back, then go ahead. He promised that he would protect her and not let Fong Tianshi hurt her. Naturally, he would do it. System, fine, he fell for her again. He knew that regardless of whether this fellow had memories or not, as long as his host started flirting, he would not be able to control himself. Why aren't you waking up? Fong Tianshi rushed in front of Tang Lushing and suddenly shouted. Tang Lushing, who was about to pull his suitcase, suddenly woke up. His eyes became clear as he scanned his surroundings. He lowered his head and saw that he was pulling a suitcase. He was very puzzled. When he realized that the suit he was wearing was actually the one that Song Xiaoyun had bought for him a few years ago, his expression changed immediately. Ever since Song Xiaoyun's death, he had hired someone to destroy Song Xiaoyun's ghost. He had moved out of the old villa and did not bring anything that Song Xiaoyun had given him. So why was he wearing this suit? Mr. Tang, are you all right? Fong Tianshi asked, his expression serious as he scanned his surroundings. He held the roulette in his hand, as if he was sensing something. Tang Lushing nodded. Master Fong, why are you here? I'm fine. Tang Lushing did not understand why Fong Tianshi would ask him such a question. Suddenly, he remembered that he was wearing the suit that Song Xiaoyun had bought for him. He quickly asked, Master Fong, could it be that some ghost was not completely destroyed? Why would I wear this? Tang Lushing was a little scared. He didn't dare to go back and change, afraid that there was something dirty inside. Fong Tianshi frowned. The yin qi here was clearly very heavy, but why didn't he discover the existence of ghosts? Hearing Tang Lushing's question, he said, Mr. Tang, as soon as I came out of seclusion, I sensed that there was a problem with the talisman I gave you. I knew that you were in danger, so I came over without delay. As soon as I got out of the car, I saw you pulling your suitcase. I don't know where you're going. Chapter 827. What's wrong with me? Tang Lushing was afraid. Could it be that Song Xiaoyun's ghost really came back to take revenge on him? The problem was that he wasn't the one who did it. If he wanted revenge, he would go to prison to find that woman. You've been possessed. That ghost's cultivation is very high. If I hadn't come, I don't know when you would have woken up. Fong Tianqi's face was cautious. Mr. Tang, quickly take a look and see if you've done anything against your will these past few days. Okay, I'll check right away. Tang Lushing felt uneasy. He heard that he had been possessed for several days. His entire body was in a state of unease. He quickly picked up the phone and called his assistant. Mr. Tang, are you asking about the donation? We have already donated all the donations for you. The orphanage and those poor schools have all sent you letters of gratitude. Thank you very much for your generosity and solving their urgent needs. I also admire you very much. Although I won't be your assistant in the future, you can still order me if you need anything. Donation? What donation? Tang Lushing was suspicious, but he was not the impulsive type. After beating around the bush, he finally found out the truth. After hanging up the phone, he said with a pale face, I have nothing left. All the assets under my name are gone. This villa has also been sold, including the luxury goods, collections, and some expensive suits. Tang Lushing's eyes turned red. The company's shares have also been sold. The money from the sale has been completely donated. Wah wah wah, the baby's cry attracted Tang Lushing's attention. Only then did he remember that his back was a little heavy. It turned out that he was carrying a baby. Master Fong, you must help me. I don't know why, but everything was taken away by that hateful ghost. You must help me. When I get everything back, I will definitely pay you a high price. Tang Lushing said anxiously. Fong Tianshi also frowned, so this ghost cast a spell on Tang Lushing in order to make him lose everything. Since the other party didn't endanger people's lives, then he would catch him and throw him to the temple to awaken. Mr. Tang, tell me slowly. What happened these past few days? Tang Lushing couldn't say anything at all. He only asked, Master Fong, is that ghost the ghost from before? I don't think so. Fong Tianshi shook his head. This ghost seems to only want to disperse your family's wealth and not harm your life. Mr. Tang, please carefully recall if you have offended anyone recently, or if you have met any special people or encountered any special things. These are all important. Tang Lushing fell into deep thought. After a long time, he said, speaking of which, there is indeed one thing that is rather special. What is it? Fong Tianshi asked anxiously. 3 years ago, my eldest daughter went on a trip and went missing. Tang Lushing's face darkened. Just a few days ago, an unknown number called me and told me that my eldest daughter had been killed and brought back her body. They wanted to ask me how to bury her. And then, Tang Lushing looked uncomfortable. Master Fong, you know that because of the ghost incident, my son was just born, so we can't have a mourning hall at home. So, I plan to buy a cemetery and bury him. I know this may be a little unfair to my eldest daughter, but if there really is a problem, my youngest son will definitely not be able to handle it. Chapter 828. So, Mr. Tang didn't set up a mourning hall. Fong Tianchi's expression was ugly. Do you know that if you don't set up a mourning hall, your eldest daughter won't have a home and will forever be a lonely ghost, unable to reincarnate? Since she can't reincarnate, she will naturally blame you. I'm afraid this matter has something to do with your eldest daughter. Ah, is that so? Tang Lushing's expression changed as he anxiously asked, then what should we do? Give me your eldest daughter's birth characters. I'll calculate and see if she's nearby. Moreover, if it really is her, Mr. Tang, you must persuade her to forgive you. Tang Lushing asked again, what if she doesn't forgive me? Then this Taoist can only take her away. Mr. Tang, please don't mind. I don't mind at all. Tang Lushing quickly replied. He wouldn't mind even if he killed her, but he still said, if she changes, Master Fong shouldn't hurt her. That's natural. As long as she doesn't harm anyone's life, this Taoist won't let her soul scatter. Tang Lushing quickly reported Tang Gua's birth characters and name. When Fong Yunqi heard the two words Tang Gua, he couldn't help but ask, Tang Gua. Yes, my eldest daughter is called Tang Gua. Little master, is there a problem? Fong Tianshi also looked at Fong Yunqi. Fong Yunqi said, Master, I told you before that we met a very powerful female ghost in the mountain village. Her name is Tang Gua. However, in this world, there shouldn't be such a coincidence. Tang Gua looked at Fong Tianshi calculating over there, and the corners of her mouth curled up into a smile. If she was really the original owner, Fong Tianshi would be able to calculate her location. However, other than being the Tang Gua here, she was also another Tang Gua. Unless she allowed it, Fong Tianshi had no way of knowing her existence. What do you plan to do? Fong Tianshi, I won't let him go. Tang Gua replied with a smile, of course I want his life. Qin Zhou didn't have any reaction, then be careful. I'll help you stop Fong Yunqi. Fong Yunqi, that little luoluo, I don't care about him at all. I can send him flying to the wall with a wave of my sleeve. Qin Zhou was amused by her arrogant tone. But you still have to be careful. Ghost-catching Taoists have a long history, and they have all kinds of methods. Even if they come from the same sect, their methods are all different. Especially Fong Tianshi, he has never shown mercy to ghosts. Taoist Qin, are you concerned about me? Tang Guo blinked and met Qin Zhou's gaze. Qin Zhou felt a little uncomfortable, but he still said, "If you think so, then so be it." "Daoist Qin, if you care about me, just say it. Don't be shy. I won't laugh at you. I'm very happy to know that you care about me." Qin Zhou's ears couldn't help but turn red. This female ghost was always indecent. Whenever there was a disagreement, she would say such ambiguous words to him. However, in his heart, he felt an inexplicable sense of joy. "What do you plan to do?" Qin Zhou changed the topic. Tang Guo narrowed her eyes. "Doesn't Fang Tianchi like to catch ghosts? Just let him become a ghost. Daoist Qin, just wait for me here. I'll be fine. Don't worry." After saying this, without waiting for Qin Zhou's reply, Tang Guo floated towards the villa. She purposely revealed some of her aura so that Fang Tianchi could sense it. Fang Tianchi indeed sensed it. He subconsciously shouted, "Tang Guo, where are you going?" Chapter 829. Tang Guo floated into the villa, and Fang Tianchi also rushed in with his sword. Fang Yunqi also wanted to go in, but after Fang Tianchi went in, the door closed. Fang Yunqi wanted to break in, but found that he couldn't open the door at all. For a moment, he anxiously waited at the door. "Little master, will there be any problems with Master Fang?" Tang Lushing asked worriedly. "Is that ghost my eldest daughter?" Looking at Master's reaction, it should be right. Fang Yunqi looked worried. Seeing Tang Lushing's worried look, he comforted him. "Mr. Tang, don't worry. My master's skills are high, and he has caught many malicious ghosts. The ghost inside can't do anything to him. Soon, he will release the ghost claw, and you won't be obstructed in the future. Yes, I believe in Master Fang." Tang Lushing looked worried, but a trace of ruthlessness flashed in his eyes. It would be best if Fang Tianchi could destroy the ghost inside. The mother and daughter were really troublesome. It was fine if they died, but he had to find them. Thinking that all his assets were gone, Tang Lushing hated it even more. He couldn't wait to go in and destroy the ghost himself. But thinking about what happened in the past few days, his back was cold. Qin Zhou stood in the corner. In the end, he was still worried, so he quietly went around from the other side of the villa. But because the villa's security was too good, he still couldn't jump in. In the end, he had no choice but to wait outside with a worried expression. An hour passed, and Qin Zhou was a little uneasy. His palms were sweaty. He looked at the silent villa. Just as he was about to destroy the villa's security and rush in with his sword, Tang Guo floated out of the window. She floated in front of him and gently touched his face. Finally, she landed on his back. The cold touch made his body tense, but he didn't have any intention of letting her down. He only asked nervously, "Are you hurt?" "No." Tang Guo wrapped her arms around Qin Zhou's neck. Feeling his stiffness, she whispered in his ear, "Daoist Qin, you're very worried about me." "Yes." Qin Zhou didn't deny it. "I'm afraid that you'll be taken in by Fang Tianchi." Tang Guo laughed happily. She wrapped her arms around his neck and leaned on his back. Although it was as light as a feather, Qin Zhou could clearly feel her existence. At first, it was a little cold, making people feel gloomy and cold. Later on, they got used to it. He was a Daoist cultivator, so he was able to withstand this amount of yin qi. "If I can't beat Fang Tianchi and get taken in by him, wouldn't you have profited?" "No, I am a man of my word. I will save you from him." Tang Guo asked with a smile, "Can Daoist Qin beat him?" "I have an immortal sword. I should be able to defeat him." Qin Zhou was not modest at all. Even without the immortal sword, I am confident that I can beat him. He is good at catching ghosts, so he might not be as good as me in a battle of magical powers. I didn't expect Daoish Qin to be so narcissistic. Tanghua said softly, Daoish Qin, how do you feel about me now? Are you interested in a human-ghost relationship? How is Fong Tianshi? Qin Zhou asked. Tanghua didn't mind him changing the topic. She said, he's dead. He's now one of the wandering ghosts. Really? Qin Zhou asked. At this moment, a voice came from the villa. Master! Master! It was Fong Yunqi. Qin Zhou heard this voice and knew that she wasn't lying. Where do you want to go now? This female ghost was really straightforward. She killed Fong Tianshi just like that. Chapter 830. Fong Yunqi and Tang Luxing, who were waiting outside the villa, saw that more than an hour had passed, and Fong Tianshi still hadn't come out. They had a bad feeling in their hearts. Fong Yunqi couldn't wait any longer and tried to break the door of the villa again. Unexpectedly, when he pushed the door opened gently. He stood at the door, holding a wooden sword with a cautious expression. No sound came from inside. This already gave him a bad feeling. He carefully crept in. After taking 2 steps, he saw Fong Tianshi lying on the ground. He shouted, Master, and rushed in front of Fong Tianshi. He thought that Fong Tianshi should be injured, but he didn't expect that when he walked up to take a look, Fong Tianshi was dead. He cried out several times in horror. Fong Tianshi still didn't wake up. He finally believed that Fong Tianshi was dead. He didn't expect that Fong Tianshi was so powerful that he would die just like that. He waited outside the villa and didn't hear any movement inside at all. Tang Luxing also followed in. Seeing that Fong Tianshi was dead, he was even more scared. He was so scared that he didn't say hello to Fong Yunqi. He ran out with the child in his arms. Fong Tianshi couldn't destroy that ghost, which showed that it was very powerful. Now, it was better for him to leave this place. Compared to money, he valued his life more. Now, even if he wanted to destroy the ghost in the villa, he didn't have the money to hire someone. He was looking forward to the ghost that made him lose all his money. Perhaps it was the ghost of his eldest daughter, who just wanted to make him a little unlucky. Perhaps after her anger had subsided, she would reincarnate. Tang Luxing was covered in cold sweat. He remembered that Fong Tianshi had said that he set up a mourning hall to bring back the ghosts of people who died outside. He thought that when he settled down, he must set up a mourning hall for his eldest daughter. When she came back, she would definitely reincarnate without any resentment. Maybe if he coaxed her, she could find a way to get his property back. Thinking of this, Tang Luxing was not so scared anymore. His eldest daughter had died long ago. She definitely didn't know about Song Xiaoyun, let alone what he was thinking. When the time came to invite the ghost back, he would put in a good word for her. That girl was only 20 years old this year, and their father-daughter relationship in the past was not bad. Tang Lu was no longer afraid. When he remembered that he had nothing now, he was very annoyed. In the end, he found a key in his pocket. He looked at the key. Wasn't this the key to the Tang family's old villa? The villa that still couldn't be sold. He thought for a moment and carried his youngest son to the villa. With the current situation, it was best to stay here for the time being. Only Fong Yunqi was left in the villa. He looked at Fong Tianqi's unscathed and cold body. Master. Fong Yunqi was a little choked up. He looked around but didn't find any traces of the ghost. He didn't know if the ghost had perished together with Fong Tianqi or if it had left. In the end, he had no choice but to carry the corpse of Fong Tianchi and leave. Fong Yunqi felt that this matter was not simple, so he sent the news of Fong Tianchi's death to the group in their circle. Seniors, I, Fong Yunqi, would like to ask you to help me find the female ghost that killed my master. At present, I don't know if she is still alive. When you find her, you don't need to do anything. I will take care of the rest. I, Fong Yunqi, will definitely thank you. Chapter 831. The people in the metaphysics circle were all shocked and they heard that Fong Tianchi was dead. Through the screen, they all started to calculate. In a place where Fong Yunqi couldn't see, they all had serious expressions. According to what they calculated, they all understood that Fong Tianchi's karma had arrived. If it wasn't related to someone they cared about, they wouldn't be willing to care about karma no matter how much the reward was. However, they were still very curious as to why Fong Tianchi suddenly died. Fong Yunqi told the people in the group about the family Tang villa. The group fell into silence for a long time. I've already advised Fong Tianchi not to care about the karma of the family Tang villa. Whatever happens to the family Tang villa in the future will be retribution. Look, he's also suffering retribution now. Yunqi, we can't interfere in this matter. Yeah, we can't interfere. I just calculated for myself. Once I interfere, I won't be able to return. Although I'm already so old, who doesn't want to live for 2 more years? If it was anything else, then forget it. But this is related to the family Tang villa. We can't interfere. No one in the group agreed to Fong Yunqi's condition. Even if Fong Yunqi's reward was very tempting, there were still things that they wanted. But in front of their lives, nothing was important. Seeing that no one cared, Fong Yunqi bid farewell to everyone and brought Fong Tianchi's body back to the sect to be buried. And he also took over Fong Tianchi's position. In fact, there were only him and Fong Tianchi in their sect. Qin Jiu also noticed the commotion in the group and even asked Tanggua to watch together. Looking at the reaction in the group, Tanggua smiled. There are still many smart people. They have some ability and know that they can't interfere in this matter. If they interfere, they will cause trouble. She was very satisfied with this result. Where's Fong Tianchi's ghost? Qin Jiu asked. He was just a little curious. He didn't sympathize with Fong Tianchi. It should be said that he didn't sympathize with people who had nothing to do with him. Tanggua laid lazily on his back. Qin Jiu was already used to the cold feeling. This female ghost likes to cause trouble. Forget it, I'll just let her be. It's only 20 years. It'll pass in the blink of an eye. Tanggua thought for a moment and said, I don't know where he went. Anyway, he is now a lonely ghost, just like those ordinary ghosts. I can't go home, I don't have my previous cultivation, and I have to hide because of the disgust of the ghost-catching Taoist priests. He'll experience it for himself. As a lonely ghost, he's already very pitiful. He clearly hasn't done anything bad, but the demon-catching Taoist priest still hates him to the core. In the future, he will encounter many more ghosts, and their experiences will be the same as his. He will personally see the ghosts that he is familiar with being captured by those demon hunters. There are good people and good ghosts. Tanggua placed her hands on Qin Jiu's neck and whispered into his ear, no matter what race they are, there's no need to fight with them, right? Just like Taoist Qin, although he looks cold and doesn't care about the life and death of others. But when you catch demons, you only catch the demons that cause chaos in the city. You never kill the demons that cultivate honestly in the mountains, right? Qin Jiu nodded. Yes. So, I find Taoist Qin very pleasing to the eye. From the first time I met Taoist Qin, I thought that this little Taoist priest was really different. He successfully piqued my interest. Chapter 832. Chinjo didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Tangua's words. So this was her first impression of him. Actually, he also wanted to say that when he first saw this female ghost, he also thought that she was different from other ghosts. He didn't know why, but every time he wanted to say something harsh, something would flash through his mind, and he would subconsciously swallow those cold and unpleasant words. It was as if he never wanted to say them. Miss Tang. Tangua smiled as she grabbed Chinjo's neck. Her cold fingers made Chinjo shiver. It was not fear, but an indescribable feeling that spread from the bottom of his heart. It was a little warm, a little sweet, and also a little sour. We've known each other for so long, and you actually call me Miss Tang. Chinjo took a deep breath and suppressed the feeling that was about to burst out. You don't call me Daoish Chin. I think that's fine. So you're worried about me calling you that? Chinjo wanted to say no, how could that be? But he was curious. What was she going to say next? What was she going to call him? He felt that he might have been bewitched by this female ghost. But his mind was very clear, and he knew what he was doing. How do you want me to call you, Daoish Chin? Little Joe. Chinjo's lips twitched. I'm older than you. Don't call me Little Joe. Brother Joe, Brother Joe. Chinjo's heart softened. This female ghost's voice was too sweet. He couldn't stand it. Or, Brother Chin, Brother Lover. Chinjo, what should I do? This female ghost really seemed to be haunting him. He couldn't get rid of her. When he heard her sweet voice calling him Brother Joe, Brother Chin, his heart actually felt so happy. Chinjo's face was tense. Be serious. What if someone hears us? I'm a ghost. They can't hear me unless I want them to. Tangua whispered into Chinjo's ear. Do you like it when I call you that? Which name do you like? If you're afraid of others hearing you, I'll call you secretly. I guarantee that only you can hear me. Chinjo's heart raced, and his ears turned red. It was all over. Chinjo was a demon hunter. His life was to catch demons and earn money. No matter how beautiful a woman was, he wouldn't be moved. Chinjo was going against his heart. This was a female ghost on his back. I'll call you Ajo. When Chinjo heard the voice behind the voice, he felt a strange sense of loss. Then, he laughed mockingly in his heart. When she called him that, he rejected it. Now that she had changed the way she addressed him, what was he regretting? Chinjo fell into deep thought. He had to admit that this female ghost had really attracted him. I to do something to you. Chinjo reacted. What do you want to do? I'll help you, he said subconsciously. After he said that, he smiled helplessly. He had fallen into her hands. I want to use these 20 years to wander around those remote places and see if there are any wandering ghosts like me. Chinjo thought of what she had been through and felt pity for her. Then I'll go with you. Chinjo could not help but think that if he ignored everything and stayed with her, they would only have 20 years. You're daydreaming, Joe. What are you thinking about? Tangua asked. Chapter 833. I was thinking. Chinjo hesitated for a moment before saying, why would a ghost like you like me? I'm just a demon-catching Daoist. Other than some demon-catching skills, I'm just an ordinary person. About that, it's because I think you're cute. Also, Ajo is not ordinary. As Tangua spoke, she pinched Chinjo's cheeks with both hands. For example, your face is especially good-looking. Also, your skills as a demon-catching Taoist are not bad. Ah, Joe, you're too humble. With your looks, if you walk on the streets and shout out who wants to marry you, there will definitely be many beauties who would be willing. This was the first time Qin Jiao had been seriously praised by someone. Even his family did not think that he was good. Later on, it was because he followed his master that his life became better. However, his master was focused on cultivation. Other than teaching him Taoist techniques, he rarely interacted with him. This also caused him to develop a personality that did not like to get close to others. People called him a weird person. Where are you going in 20 years? Qin Jiao asked. Tang Guo smiled and replied, I don't know. Maybe it's the ghost world. After all, if a soul does not reincarnate, it will go to the ghost world in the end. Do you really think that I'm good? System, I keep feeling that something is wrong. Is it because the gender is reversed? This fellow is still embarrassed. Actually, it's not impossible to have a human-ghost relationship. I don't mind that. Qin Jiao said, if you don't mind, can we try it? Tang Guo's lips curled into a smile. Really? You mean that you like me too? It should be like. Qin Jiao said with certainty, I can't bear to see you unhappy and want to do whatever you want. This should be like. This is like. Aw, Jiao, you're really cute. Cute? What the hell? Qin Jiao's face stiffened. Then, Tang Guo laid on his back without any restraint. Her body slowly solidified. Her originally cold body also started to warm up. He was shocked at these changes. Ah, Jiao, are you sure you won't regret it? We only have 20 years. Of course, I won't regret what I've decided. 20 years is enough to do many things. Didn't she say that she would go to the ghost world in the future? If it was inconvenient for her to come out in the future, he would go and look for her, Qin Jiao thought to himself. After admitting his feelings, he felt much more relaxed, and the smile on his face never disappeared. It turned out that the feeling that had welled up in her heart earlier was because he liked her. In the following time, the two of them wandered around the small mountain villages and saw countless women being abducted. Tang Guo didn't kill any more people. She only exposed the trafficking village and secretly crippled those villains. She saved the girls who had just entered the village. The women who had been in the village for a long time were unwilling to leave. She would not care about them, let alone sympathize with them. If they were not exposed, sooner or later, these women would only become accomplices to those who hurt innocent girls in the future. One day, Qin Jiao and Tang Guo sat hand in hand on the top of a mountain and looked down at the small village. Did Guogua think of doing this because of her own experience? They had just arrived today. The village below was also the kind of village where girls were abducted and sold. Wives were abducted and bought. Tang Guo leaned on his shoulder and shook her head. No. Then why? Since we're here, we want to do something and leave something behind to make life more meaningful. Chapter 834. Qin Jiao remembered that she was just a ghost now and couldn't help but laugh. We've already attracted the attention of the metaphysics circle. Qin Jiao said. Tang Guo didn't care, what will they do? Before they saw Guogua, they definitely wanted to do something. But after seeing Guogua, they probably didn't have the courage to do anything. His ghost girlfriend wasn't simple. It's good that you know. At this moment, Tang Guo looked at the gradually darkening sky. Okay, Jiao, wait for me here. I'm going to do something big. I'll wait for you to come back. Qin Jiao had thought of helping her do those things before, but she seemed to despise him for not being able to do it. She said that he couldn't hide himself and was too big of a target. She was different. She was a ghost and no one could discover her. He sat on the hill and watched her figure float down. His eyes were full of smiles. He liked everything about her, whether she was a ghost or not. Now, he felt that 20 years was a bit short. So, he should cultivate his Tao techniques and become stronger. That way, it would be easier for him to enter the ghost world. That's right, he was indeed not satisfied. Before he was with her, he was still a bit hesitant. But after he was with her, he realized how charming this ghost girl was. Everything about her, including even a strand of her hair, he felt that it was exceptionally charming. Whatever she said, he wanted to listen to her. Her smile, he felt that it was the most beautiful smile in the world. Her voice was naturally the sweetest and most pleasant to listen to. He would never get tired of hearing it. Daoist Qin, why are you here? Qin Zhou's beautiful fantasy was suddenly interrupted by a voice. He frowned and looked unhappily at the group of people climbing up the hill. The ones leading the way were Fang Yunqi and a young woman. He had seen them before. It was already 2 years ago. This woman was called Ning Xiangxi. She was in the mountain village where he met Guogua. Behind the two of them, there were a few familiar people. They were all in the metaphysics circle and were good at catching ghosts. Looking at these people, Qin Zhou fell into deep thought. Then, he asked, why are you all here? Daoist Qin, haven't you seen the group recently? How could you not know about such big news? I thought you were going to change your profession to ghost hunting, so I came here to give it a try. Qin Zhou already had a guess in his heart. In the past 2 years, his Guogua had caused quite a commotion, so it was normal for her to attract these people. I'm not here to catch ghosts. He had accompanied his female ghost to deal with the villains in the mountain village. Thinking that there were a few people he had a good impression of, he said, there is no ghost here that you want to catch. You can go to the next place. Daoist Qin, I'm certain that the ghost we're looking for is here. Fang Yunqi stared at Qin Zhou and said righteously, I can already smell that ghost scent. All ghosts in this world should be killed. Since I've seen it, I definitely won't let it go. Qin Zhou looked at Fang Yunqi in a daze. He had only seen such an expression on Fang Tianqi's face before. Every time he encountered a ghost, whether it was innocent or not, Fang Tianqi would mercilessly capture the other party. If the ghost did not harm anyone and could be easily captured or surrendered, Fang Tianqi would let it live and send it to the temple. If the ghost had harmed someone, no matter what the reason was, even if it was a personal grudge, in Fang Tianqi's eyes, it was an evil ghost that deserved to be killed. Fang Yunqi had already become a Fang Tianqi. If I say there isn't one, then there isn't one. Qin Zhou looked past Fang Yunqi and looked at the others, considering our past relationship, fellow cultivators, please don't interfere in this matter. Chapter 835. Whether there are ghosts or not, we'll only know after looking for them. Daoist Qin, you're so confident that there aren't any. Fang Yunqi narrowed his eyes. I'm very suspicious of Daoist Qin's true motive. I remember that a few years ago, in a small mountain village, Daoist Qin left with a female ghost, right? Now that Daoist Qin is stopping us from catching the ghost, could it be that the ghost that appeared here is the same one from back then? Fang Yunqi was aggressive. Then can I guess that the ghost that has been doing evil all these years is the ghost called Tangguo from back then? The others looked at each other. They more or less knew a little about what happened back then. They only knew that Fang Yunqi had suffered a great loss at the hands of a female ghost. Later on, Fang Tianqi had died, so they had almost forgotten about this matter. If it was the ghost from back then, only 2 years had passed. Fang Yunqi had been beaten so badly by the ghost back then. Could he deal with it today? Daoist Qin, I've always known that you're a person who only cares about money and has no principles at all. I don't know what benefits that ghost gave you to make you help her harm people. Qin Zhou said, she didn't harm anyone. Didn't harm anyone. Fang Yunqi was so angry that he laughed. Over the years, how many small villages have those things happened? It's exactly the same as back then. At first, I wasn't sure, but now that Daoist Qin is here, I'm very sure that the ghost is Tangguo, right? Yes. Qin Zhou didn't hide anything and directly answered. He wasn't afraid that these people would come to deal with his Guogua. Even if Guogua didn't make a move, with the immortal sword that he had already refined and improved a lot in the past 2 years, these people wouldn't be his match. Daoist Qin, is that ghost really Tangguo? Is she the one who did all these things? Ning Xiangxi also interrupted. In the past 2 years, Brother Fang and I have already investigated. That Tangguo from back then is the Tangguo from the family Tang. She's also the eldest daughter of Tang Lu. She's also the female ghost that killed my master. Whether it's out of justice or out of personal hatred, Fang Yunqi will kill her every time I see her in my life until her soul dissipates. Otherwise, I won't let her go. Since we've met each other today, I definitely won't let her harm the world again. Qin Zhou had a relaxed expression. Why are you telling me this? Do you think I'll help you uphold justice just because you said so? No, the thing that I, Qin Zhou, dislike the most is upholding justice. You all know that Qin Zhou only likes to catch demons and earn money. Of course, I have another hobby now. When he said the last sentence, Qin Zhou's face was full of smiles. Other than Fang Yunqi, everyone else who was familiar with Qin Zhou looked at each other. They didn't understand why Qin Zhou, who was always cold to everyone, would smile so foolishly. They really wanted to know what kind of hobby Qin Zhou had. But since the other party didn't want to talk about it, they were too embarrassed to ask that, people. T. They. T. Them st. However, when they heard Fang Yunqi say that the ghost was related to the Tang family, many people's hearts skipped a beat. Their backs were drenched in sweat. Fang Yunqi had tricked them. If they hadn't met Qin Zhou, they would have been tricked by Fang Yunqi. Chapter 836. No one could get involved in the karma of the family Tang. Even Fang Tianshi couldn't deal with the female ghost, so they should just forget about it. Seniors, are you planning to give up? Fang Yunqi saw that everyone was retreating and quickly said, I will definitely give you what I promised as long as you help me take down that female ghost. Once she's dead, there won't be any more karma, right? Kid Fang, it's not that we don't want to help you deal with the female ghost. If she has nothing to do with the family Tang and has done a lot of evil, as ghost hunters, we will definitely help you. But this female ghost is from the family Tang. The karma of the family Tang is too heavy. No one here can bear it. An older Taoist looked at Fang Yunqi and sighed, Kid Fang, listen to my advice. Your master died because of karma. If he was really killed by the family Tang's daughter, then it can only be considered as revenge. After all, your master killed the ghost of her mother. Think about it. Don't you hate her to the core because she killed your master? If you can deal with her, then forget it. You are no match for her. It's not that they looked down on Fang Yunqi, but Fang Tianshi was so powerful that he could kill the female ghost just like that. How can it be the same? If her mother didn't do evil and cause a miscarriage and make the entire family Tang restless, why would my master kill her? All ghosts that harm people deserve to die. Then what about the people that harm people? Suddenly, a pleasant voice came from not far away, attracting everyone's attention. Tang Guo floated up from below. Everyone looked at her with vigilance. They even quickly moved away from Fang Yunqi's position, as if to say that they had nothing to do with Fang Yunqi and were just passing by. Tang Guo didn't care about them. She only looked at Fang Yunqi with a smile. You said that ghosts that harm people deserve to die. Then what about the people that harm people? Bad people will be punished by the law. Even if the law can't punish them, God will. Tang Guo slowly walked to Qinzhou's side and smiled. Do you know a phrase called enforcing justice on behalf of the heavens? The heavens are so busy that they definitely won't be able to do anything about it. So, I'll just help him get rid of all these troublesome matters and bad people. Isn't that great? My master is not a bad person. On the contrary, he saved many people and killed those evil spirits. Fang Yunqi said anxiously. Tang Guo chuckled. He's your master. Of course, he's not an evil person in your eyes. However, he destroyed my mother's soul. To me, he's an evil person. It's only right and proper to avenge your mother. I didn't do anything wrong. Then it's only right for me to avenge my master, Fang Yunqi said subconsciously. Tang Guo laughed out loud. That's right. If you're talking about revenge, then I won't despise you. What kind of excuse are you looking for? You're saying that I've done something devoid of conscience. You're using the excuse of upholding justice and eliminating evil to eliminate me. That's not right. Fang Yunqi, I'll accompany you whenever you want to avenge your personal grudge. However, I advise you to give up. You can't beat me. Even after 10 years, or even 100 years, you still won't be my opponent. When you're at your weakest, I'll become stronger. Fang Yunqi's face turned red when he heard Tang Guo's words. Of course, I'm eliminating you not only for revenge. I'm also doing it for other reasons. For example, if you want to harm people, then I'll kill you so that no one else will be harmed by you. Then tell me, how did I harm people? You. Fang Yunqi thought about what she had done and his expression turned ugly. Chapter 837. How could she let him talk about the things that she had done? Isn't it just getting rid of those men's evil roots? What's there that can't be said? Tang Guo said with a smile. Everyone present was speechless. This female ghost was really shameless. Tang Guo looked at Qinzhou beside her. Zhou, do you think that those people should have their roots cut off? Yes, Qinzhou replied with certainty. Tang Guo was very happy. Her body solidified as she held onto his arm. The intimate appearance of the two of them was clearly seen by everyone. They all widened their eyes in disbelief. Qinzhou, that young Taoist who only liked to catch demons and earn money, was actually dating a female ghost? It had to be fake. Qinzhou, what's your relationship with this female ghost? Someone asked with a trembling voice. It couldn't be. Why would Qinzhou do such a thing? Qinzhou hugged Tang Guo's waist. Even if he didn't say anything, he admitted their relationship. It's as you see and think. It's like that. Don't you only like to catch demons and earn money? I've said it before. I have another hobby. Qinzhou smiled. He looked at Tang Guo with love and indulgence. Spoiling my wife. Everyone, are humans and ghosts showing off their love too? Fang Yunqi's expression changed. Humans and ghosts can't fall in love. Qinzhou, you've already broken the rules. Whose rules? Qinzhou asked. He stared at Fang Yunqi. You set them. Anyway, humans and ghosts can't fall in love, Fang Yunqi said stubbornly. He looked at Qinzhou with disgust. As a member of the metaphysics world, you actually fell in love with a ghost. I'm not a Taoist who catches ghosts. I'm a Taoist who catches demons. Why can't I fall in love with ghosts? Qinzhou interrupted Fang Yunqi. Tang Guo also nodded. That's right. It's none of your business. Why do you care? How people fall in love has nothing to do with you. You're too nosy. Joe, just wait. Didn't he want to stop me from doing something today? I'll do something in front of him and see if he can stop me. Letting go of Qinzhou's arm, her body floated up again. She floated down to the small mountain village below. When Fang Yunqi saw this, he felt that something was wrong and chased after him. Ning Xiangxi followed closely behind. She had a feeling that things would not go smoothly today. She had seen Tang Guo's strength many years ago. Would Brother Fang really be a match for her? Seniors, please lend a hand. She's going to do evil again. Fang Yunqi didn't forget to turn around and say to the others, how about double the things I promised you? Kid Fang, I can't help you. I can't help you. No matter how many things they had, they wouldn't be able to help. They had been out there for many years and had seen countless ghosts. This was the only thing they were unsure of. They were even guessing how long they could last against the other party. Fang Yunqi's face turned ugly. Since you don't want to, then forget it. I hope you won't regret it one day. When this female ghost grows up in the future, it will be incredible. The human world will be in chaos because of her. With that, Fang Yunqi ignored the people behind him and chased after Tang Guo into the village. The rest of the people shook their heads. What grow up? She had already grown up, okay. No one could stop her from growing up. She would only get stronger and stronger. Chapter 838. When the crowd saw Qinzhou standing there calmly, they were curious. Weren't the human and the ghost in love? Fang Yunqi was going to deal with Tang Guo. Why was Qinzhou still sitting there? Qinzhou, aren't you going to take a look? Someone who was closer to Qinzhou moved to his side and asked, what if Fang Yunqi really has a way to deal with her? Aren't you worried? Fang Yunqi isn't enough. Qinzhou said confidently, she doesn't want me to follow her. She said that what she's going to do is bloody and violent. She wants me to stay here and wait. She said that in front of me, she has to be elegant and ladylike. Huh, is that so? These days, do all ghosts care so much about their image in front of their partners? But the thing she did, even if you didn't look, you would think that it was very violent. Actually, I don't care about these things. Qinzhou smiled, but since she doesn't want me to look, I won't look. I'll just wait here for her. Qinzhou, why would she do these things? Qinzhou didn't mind their questions. He took out his phone and sent them the information and photos he had found. Take a look. She was once left in the village by someone like this. She escaped in the end, but she didn't manage to escape. She jumped off the cliff and died. Everyone looked at the information and photos in the group and chose to remain silent. When they arrived, they felt that the yin energy here was very heavy. They thought that it was because the ghost was too powerful. After looking at the information, they understood why. In fact, she was very close to them just now. The yin energy on her body wasn't heavy, especially when she was holding on to Qinzhou. There was almost no yin energy on her body. Where did the yin energy come from? Other than the information, there were also photos in the group. It was nothing else but piles of bones that had been dug up near this small mountain village. These bones were made by the people in the village. They were all abducted from the outside. They were all women who didn't want to be obedient. And those obedient women became their accomplices. I reckon that this time, she will find out who was involved in these things and kill them. Qinzhou said with a smile. If they hadn't seen the photos and information in the group, they would have thought that Chinjo was crazy. After seeing these things, they chose to remain silent. After a while, someone who had a good relationship with Chinjo said, although the people she killed deserve to be killed, she's a stage 1 ghost. If this continues, she'll be punished by the heavens sooner or later. We don't care about that. Chinjo, if you're serious, you should just focus on cultivating with her. I asked her about it. Chinjo said, she said that the heavens don't dare to punish her. Chinjo, I think you're crazy. You believe whatever she says. Chinjo nodded matter-of-factly. That's right. I believe whatever she says. I don't know why, but I feel like she's not lying to me. She was very confident when she told me this. Of course, the most important thing was that she was very mysterious to begin with. She could even take out an immortal sword. Later on, he even took out a lightning rod and gave it to him. That's right, it wasn't a lightning rod for avoiding ordinary lightning, but a lightning rod for avoiding lightning tribulations. If it was just that, he definitely wouldn't believe it. However, when he received these lightning rods, these things were even more powerful than immortal swords. He couldn't help but believe what she said. However, he wouldn't share this with the group of Taoists in front of him. Did this group of old bachelors know what it was like to be in a relationship? Chapter 839. When everyone saw how confident Chinjo was, they all felt that he was too blind and had been bewitched by a female ghost. However, they didn't dare to say anything bad about that female ghost. That female ghost was from the family and family was filled with karma. They didn't want to offend her just because of one sentence. She won't do anything to that kid, right? Chinjo said with certainty. As long as Fang Yunqi doesn't cross her bottom line, like what happened to Fang Tianshi, she won't kill him. As for what she will do to him, I don't know. What kind of answer was that? Knowing that Fang Yunqi's life wouldn't be in danger, they weren't worried anymore. Although Chinjo didn't have much compassion, he was still a person with principles. He would do whatever he said and wouldn't lie. They were curious about how strong that female ghost was, but they didn't want to watch the show. They saw that Chinjo was in a good mood, so they went to talk to him about Tanghua. They realized that as long as they talked about Tanghua, Chinjo's face would be full of smiles. Fang Yunqi chased after Tanghua and watched as Tanghua entered the village. When he saw the large field in the village, he felt that the surrounding yin energy was extremely heavy. When he looked carefully, he realized that there were wandering ghosts everywhere. At that moment, he wanted to draw his sword and kill the ghosts. Right at that moment, Tanghua walked out of the house and smiled at him. He felt that something was wrong. When he was about to rush in front of those little ghosts, he finally realized what was wrong. The little ghosts were right in front of him. As long as he slashed, their souls would definitely scatter. However, his sword seemed to have hit an invisible barrier and couldn't go any further. He tried to rush over, but he realized that he couldn't pass through this invisible barrier. Ning Xiangxi also reached out and pushed, but she realized that what was blocking them was a transparent wall. We can't pass, Big Brother Fang. This ghost's skills are high. It used the ghost wall on us. I'll think of a way. When Tanghua heard the words, ghost hitting the wall, she couldn't help but laugh. This is not ghost hitting the wall. Fang Yunqi, you were a dabbler 2 years ago, and you're still a dabbler now. Don't you know what a barrier is? Fang Yunqi smiled. Ghost wall. Only he could think of that. Boundaries. Fang Yunqi's expression changed. Impossible. Even with his master's ability, it was impossible for him to set up the legendary enchantment. She was just a new ghost, how could she know how to set up an enchantment? He didn't believe it. I can't be bothered to talk to you. Not only can't come over, you can't leave. You guys can stay there until I'm done with my business. Don't you want to stop me? Don't you want to punish evil and promote good? Don't you want to uphold justice and eliminate evil? Let me tell you, in the face of absolute power, those are all fake. After Tangwa finished speaking, she no longer paid any attention to him. Instead, she smiled at the little ghosts and took out a soul-condensing pill. Come, condense your soul bodies, then go in and find the person who killed you. Whoever harmed you, take revenge. As for those who didn't harm you, don't bother. After you've taken your revenge, I'll help you release your souls and send you to reincarnation. TTT. This is called enforcing justice on behalf of the heavens. They're just going to take revenge on their enemies. You're unreasonable. Why can you, Fang Yunqi, take revenge for your master, but we ghosts can't? Tangwa, you'll be punished by the heavens. Chapter 840. No, I won't. God wouldn't dare to punish me. Fang Yunqi's face was cold. God will definitely punish you for an evil spirit like you. Fang Yunqi, you are actually a selfish person. Tangwa narrowed her eyes. One day, you will regret it. You will also understand how laughable your actions are. Originally, I had already gotten rid of some evil spirits. However, fate is unpredictable. Today, I get rid of this evil spirit, but tomorrow, the evil spirit may appear in another place. Fang Yunqi, I will give you one last advice. When you catch ghosts, use your brain. Don't catch all kinds of ghosts. No matter if they are good or bad, they will take away their life. Fang Yunqi did not speak. I punish evil and promote good. I kill evil spirits. How can there be evil spirits? Tangwa smiled and shook her head. She did not say anything else. The smart little ghosts who had already formed their souls saw Tangwa standing there. They took a chair out of nowhere and placed it in front of her. They bowed respectfully to her. Okay, you guys go and take revenge. I will take care of everything here. Tangwa, you have to follow the rules. If you continue to act like this, even God will punish you. Fang Yunqi could not go over. Soon, he heard screams coming from the village. He shouted, Tangwa. Tangwa did not turn her head. She only listened to the screams. After a long time, Fang Yunqi looked very dispirited. He could not even do anything to a ghost. How could he be a ghost hunter? Have you finished taking revenge? Tangwa asked the little ghosts. The group of little ghosts came in front of Tangwa. They bowed to her gratefully and said thank you. Souls did not have tears. They wanted to cry, but they could not. They only had an ugly expression. Then I will help you guys to enter the cycle of reincarnation. Tangwa said with a smile, this cycle of reincarnation is a good thing. In the next life, you will become a new person. You will not remember what happened in this life. However, you have to be a person with principles. The brats didn't quite understand this, but they believed that a person with principles was a person who wouldn't persecute others for no reason, a person with principles. They felt that Tangwa's words were really strange. Why didn't she ask them to be good people? Because being a good person might not bring good karma. If you're too good, you'll be easily bullied. All you need to do is follow your own heart and principles, and not take the initiative to harm others. The little ghosts nodded as if they understood something. When Tangwa finished reading the rebirth scripture, they sat down with their legs crossed. Not long after, their souls became transparent. Tangwa made a hand seal and opened a door beside them. They seemed to have sensed something and finally bowed to Tangwa before jumping into the cycle of reincarnation. Fong Yunqi could only watch those little ghosts reincarnate. He did not expect that the ghost that had killed countless people and committed all kinds of evil would be covered in Buddhist light. Ning Xiangxi couldn't believe it either. Why did Tanggua have the light of Buddha? It was too strange. Watching those little ghosts slowly enter the cycle of reincarnation, in fact, Ning Xiangxi did not feel much. The people in this village were indeed evil people. If it was those little ghosts who took revenge, in fact, she could accept it. Especially when she heard the screams of those men, she knew what had happened. Compared with 2 years ago, she was much more mature. She was not so one-sided when thinking about problems. Tanggua was harmed by the people in that village. In fact, what she did was understandable. Chapter 841. But seeing Fong Yunqi in pain, she quickly drove those thoughts out of her mind. "Brother Fong, are you okay?" Ning Xiangxi asked worriedly. "We can't deal with her." Seeing Tanggua cripple those men, she vaguely felt a little happy. She remembered that a few months after the incident in the small village, something happened in her school. There was a girl in school who rented a house outside the school. One day, the teacher called her name and found that she didn't come. She didn't pick up the phone. They contacted her parents, but there was no news of her coming home. Later, someone suggested that they go to the house she rented. The door was closed. They asked the landlord for the key to open the door. As soon as they entered the house, they felt that something was wrong. The house was in a mess. In the end, they found the girl dead in the bedroom. The final test result was that the girl was raped and then strangled to death. At that time, her parents heard about the incident and brought her home every day. She also saw the girl's parents. At that time, they were crying very sadly and shouted that they wanted to cut the rapist into pieces. When she returned home, her parents also talked about the incident. They said that the rapist should be cut into pieces. If such a thing happened to them, they definitely wouldn't be able to accept it. In short, she felt that her parents weren't joking. And through that incident, she understood Tanggua's actions a little. Now that she saw what Tanggua did to those people, she didn't have any thoughts of stopping her. The previous rapist was only caught last year. The girl's parents spent a lot of effort to find him. When she saw them on the news again, she almost didn't recognize them. They seemed to have aged more than 20 years. Their hair had turned white, but they were still only 40 years old. One day, I, Fong Yunqi, will personally destroy her soul. When Ning Xiangxi heard Fong Yunqi say this, she didn't have much of a sense of agreement. "Brother Fong, actually, it's all these people who have done all kinds of evil. It's understandable that I want to take revenge on them. Tanggua is so powerful. Why don't we just forget about it?" She felt that with Tanggua around, perhaps the abduction wouldn't happen. The incident with the girl in the same school changed many of her views. Especially during that time, her parents scolded that bad guy every day, and the girl's parents who were already unreasonably old. Wasn't all of this done by those villains? The rules of society could not punish them. It was actually quite good to have an anomaly like Tanggua around. At least, many young girls like her would not be abducted and brought here to suffer and lose their lives in the future. Impossible. Fong Yunqi said stubbornly that it was impossible. He would kill Tanggua. The Buddha's light on Tanggua's body had disappeared, and she had returned to her previous appearance. She floated up, and not long after she floated away, Fong Yunqi quickly chased after her with his sword. Looking at Tanggua, he didn't even think about it before rushing over. This time, Tanggua didn't attack. Instead, Qinjiu raised his leg and kicked Fong Yunqi down. "Tanggua, I won't let you off." Fong Yunqi crawled up from the ground. His eyes were bloodshot and filled with hatred. The sword in his hand was trembling. And you, Qinzhou, from today onwards, you are all my enemies. One day, I, Fang Yunqi, will kill all the ghosts in the world. As long as I, Fang Yunqi, am here, not a single ghost will appear. Chapter 842. Qinzhou hugged the ghost wife's waist and said calmly, "With me here, you won't be able to kill her. Even without me, you won't be able to kill her." This sentence almost made Fang Yunqi spit out blood. However, this was the truth. He could only glare at the two of them. "Everyone will be leaving first." Tanggua smiled and greeted the Taoists. "I heard from Ajio that you're all ghost hunters." "I'm a ghost. Why don't you come and catch me?" We don't dare, we don't dare." Everyone shook their heads and smiled bitterly. "We can't afford to offend you." This was not a ghost king, but a ghost emperor. They couldn't afford to offend her. Besides, this village was full of evil people. They couldn't do anything about what she did. They realized that the yin qi just now had disappeared. It probably had something to do with her. Those little ghosts couldn't have been swallowed by her, right? But thinking about her actions, she shouldn't have swallowed those little ghosts. They were really curious and couldn't help but ask, "Miss Tang, where are those little ghosts that died in the village?" "Them. I released their souls and sent them to the cycle of reincarnation. They've been wandering ghosts for so many years. It's quite pitiful. Seeing that we're the same kind, I'll send them to the cycle of reincarnation." When everyone heard this, they were stunned. Release souls. It can't be, right? Could a ghost be released from purgatory? But when they thought about what kind of ghost she was, the doubts in their hearts disappeared. Perhaps, this ghost was really different. Under everyone's gaze, Tanguo floated onto Qinzhou's back. She wrapped her arms around his neck and the two of them left just like that. After being a ghost for so many years, she still preferred to lie on Qinzhou's back. She smiled and said to Qinzhou, "I didn't do anything this time. It was those little ghosts who did it." Fang Yunqi was so angry. "Let's go to the next place. Those little ghosts told me that they found a few more villages like this." "Okay." Qinzhou also liked it when she lay on his back. Listening to the things that she shared with him, he felt that he had lived for 20 years in vain. 20 years was really short. Unknowingly, 2 years had passed. Qinzhou felt a little sad, but he quickly pulled himself together. He had to concentrate on his cultivation. "Brother Fang, let's go." Ning Xiangxi tugged at Fang Yunqi, who was still staring. Looking at him, her heart ached. "Why don't we find a place to relax?" "No." Fang Yunqi sheathed his sword and said to Ning Xiangxi, "Xiangxi, I need to go to the temple immediately and ask Master Ming Xian for help. Master Ming Xian's dharma is superb, he will definitely be able to destroy this ghost." Ning Xiangxi was unwilling. Tanggua didn't harm anyone. She was dealing with these villains. Why did she have to find someone to destroy her? Seeing Fang Yunqi's expression, she could only nod. Two. Will you succeed in dealing with Tanggua? Ning Xiangxi asked. What if you don't succeed? Toot. He. Toot. Toot. Ning Xiangxi's heart skipped a beat. Was he really that powerful? She pursed her lips, feeling a little uncomfortable. Xiangxi, you go home first. I'm going to find Tess. I'll come find you after I find him. Without waiting for Ning Xiangxi's reply, he left. Ning Xiangxi thought about what happened before and didn't mind. When Fang Yunqi was far away, she looked at the others. Seniors. Xiangxi, what's wrong? Seniors, can you contact Tanghua? Everyone looked at each other, not understanding why. Chapter 843. We can't contact Miss Tang. After all, she's a very powerful ghost. Ghosts don't seem to use phones. Ning Xiangxi was slightly disappointed when she heard this. Then one of the Taoists said, but we can contact Qin Zhou. We all have his number. They seem to be in a relationship now. If you want to find Miss Tang, it shouldn't be a problem to contact Qin Zhou. Senior, can you give me Taoist Qin's number? Ning Xiangxi asked happily. The Taoists didn't give it to her immediately. Instead, they asked Ning Xiangxi, why are you looking for Miss Tang? They recalled Fang Yunqi's words and had a vague guess. Ning Xiangxi's expression changed slightly. She took a deep breath. Actually, 2 years ago, I was almost left in this small mountain village forever. At that time, Miss Tang appeared and saved me. 2 years ago, I also thought that it wasn't good for her to kill the innocent. But ideas change with time. After saying this, Ning Xiangxi felt much better. In fact, ever since her ideas changed, she had been feeling guilty. Tanghua saved her back then, but she didn't sincerely thank her. Thinking about it, Miss Tang should be my savior. If Master Ming Xian is really too powerful and I know about this, I won't ask or remind her. Wouldn't that be ungrateful? If something really happens to her, I might feel guilty for the rest of my life. Everyone nodded. This time, they looked at Ning Xiangxi with admiration. It's good that you understand. In this world, the definition of good and evil isn't that simple. Some things seem evil, but are actually good. Some things seem good, but the person who does it doesn't know what kind of evil it will cause in the future. Therefore, although they were ghost hunters, they never cared about karma. They only cared about ghosts that wanted revenge. As long as they weren't real evil ghosts, they would leave automatically after taking revenge. They didn't need to care at all. The ghosts they cared about were those that really harmed humans. Some couldn't reincarnate but wanted to find a scapegoat. I know. Ning Xiangxi nodded quickly. She already understood that she was too naive in the past. She thought that everything needed justice. In fact, many things weren't as simple as they seemed. Especially when she saw Fang Yunqi become more and more extreme. She felt terrible and didn't know how to persuade him. All right, I'll give you Qin Zhou's number. You can tell them what you want. Also, you should try to persuade that kid Fang more often. I see that his body has been tainted with quite a bit of karma. If this continues, I'm afraid that he won't even be as good as Fang Tianshi. I wonder who will suffer from karma. The Taoist priest looked at Ning Xiangxi meaningfully. Instantly, Ning Xiangxi's face turned pale. Her words were very clear. Since she was with Fang Yunqi, it could be said that she was indirectly affected by his karma. Perhaps, in the future, these things would come back to her. However, she truly liked Fang Yunqi. I'll try to persuade him and do more good deeds. I'll slowly remove the karma on him. She understood the intentions of these seniors. They wanted her to break up with Fang Yunqi as soon as possible. If they were just friends, then it would be fine. However, if they became husband and wife, then she would have to bear half of the karma. All right then. The few Taoists looked at each other, passed the phone to Ning Xiangxi, and left. Chapter 844. After Ning Xiangxi got the phone, she found a place with a better signal and called Qin Zhou. Qin Jiao saw that it was an unfamiliar number and picked it up curiously. The voice on the other end said, "Excuse me, is this Daoish Qin?" Qin Jiao was very familiar with this voice. He said to Tanguo, "It's Ning Xiangxi. Ask her what's the matter." Tanguo leaned on his back and said with a smile. Ning Xiangxi's call really surprised her. She just didn't know what Ning Xiangxi wanted to say. "It's me. What's the matter?" Qin Jiao asked. Ning Xiangxi sighed. I want to see Miss Tang. Is it convenient for you? You haven't gone far, have you? I'm still at the same place. Guo, she wants to see you. Qin Jiao and Tang Guo were talking to each other. Their whispers reached Ning Xiangxi's ears. She had noticed before that the man and the ghost were really intimate. They were more in love than her and Fang Yunqi. Thinking about this, she felt a little sad. Ever since Fang Yunqi was blinded by hatred, the sweetness between them had become less and less. Tang Guo took the phone and her voice interrupted Ning Xiangxi's thoughts. You want to see me? Yes, Miss Tang. Is it convenient? Ning Xiangxi was a little nervous. No matter if it was 2 years ago or today, Tang Guo always gave her the feeling that she was strong, unrestrained, and free. He could do whatever he wanted, and he would never be bound by the so-called rules and regulations. Tang Guo was the one who did things based on her heart and principles. She felt that this late gratitude should be expressed to her face to face. She even thought that if Tang Guo had been there for the incident that happened at school, she might have found the murderer of the innocent girl and found the girl's ghost. Just say what you want to say. It's the same over the phone. Ning Xiangxi was a little disappointed. Was she really ignoring her? I'm very busy and don't have time to sit down with you face to face. If you haven't thought about it, you can send a message to this phone and slowly think about how to tell me. Ning Xiangxi hurriedly said, No, I'll just tell you like this. It won't take up much of your time. Tang Guo laughed. All right, go ahead. She had a feeling that Ning Xiangxi was different today. She could tell that Ning Xiangxi wasn't disgusted by what she had done today. She could even vaguely sense the joy in her eyes. What exactly changed Ning Xiangxi? Miss Tang, the first thing I want to say today is thank you. Ning Xiangxi continued, maybe to you, it's just like what happened today. It's just a matter of convenience, but to me, it's very important. If you hadn't appeared in time back then, I might have been one of those numb women, or I might have been one of those dead souls. If you hadn't appeared, I would have been a lonely ghost. Tang Guo was a little surprised, but it was within her expectations. Ning Xiangxi was not a bad person, but the education she had received since she was young was too orthodox. Most of the time, her kindness was misused in other ways. With her pure and kind mind, she couldn't have foreseen the consequences. Of course, she believed that Ning Xiangxi must have experienced something bad to be able to change her. Is there anything else? Ning Xiangxi already knew that Tang Guo might have such a nonchalant attitude. There's another thing. Brother Fang has already gone to look for Master Mingxian. Chapter 845. I heard him say that Master Mingxian's Dharma is superb. You should be careful. I'm just an ordinary person. I can't help you. Ning Xiangxi's voice was full of worry. I think you should go out and hide. Tang Guo was amused by Ning Xiangxi. Okay, I got it. I'm serious. You should be careful. Hearing the other party's nonchalant attitude, Ning Xiangxi was a little angry. Okay, I've already said so much. I can't do anything else. I'll hang up now. Wait a minute. Tang Guo stopped Ning Xiangxi from hanging up. She glanced around and found a bigger tree branch. She took out a bead and placed it in the middle of the tree branch before saying, "Follow the direction I left. There's the biggest tree here." I placed a small bead on the tree branch. "Just now, I calculated that you'll have a cute daughter in the future. Put this bead on your daughter. Take it as a reward for telling me that Master Ming Xian will come to collect me." Ning Xiangxi hurriedly said, "I'm not telling you this for a reward. Also, how could a ghost predict that she would have a cute daughter?" This was really too amazing. But thinking that the other party could even exorcise ghosts, she believed it. "It's your business whether you take it or not. I've already placed the bead on the tree branch. This bead has the effect of strengthening the body and can also ward off evil spirits." Hearing that it could ward off evil spirits, Ning Xiangxi was moved. Because her physique was especially attractive to ghosts, it was only with the help of Fang Tianshi that she was able to avoid all these. Her mother was also very attractive to ghosts. It should be said that their family's ability to attract ghosts was only passed down to females and not males. "Thank you." Slap. The response was the sound of the phone being hung up. This time, Ning Xiangxi was not angry. That special female ghost did things casually. In this world, there was nothing that she cared about. Even when she did those things, even when she exorcised those ghosts, there was no pity in her eyes. It was just that she wanted to do so. Killing those bad people and crippling those bastards was just what she wanted to do. Exorcising those ghosts was also what she wanted to do. Giving her future daughter a meeting gift out of the blue was probably something that flashed through the other party's mind. Therefore, as humans, they were not as carefree as ghosts. At the very least, she dared to do whatever she wanted to do. That fearless aura really intimidated her. She followed Tangua's words and found the tree branch. Looking at the ordinary bead, she carefully put it away. This was for her future daughter to ward off evil spirits, so shouldn't she take good care of it? In order to avoid Fang Yunqi finding out in the future, she decided not to tell him that the bead was given to her by Tangua, lest he got angry. "Guogua, why did you give her the defensive pearl?" Qin Zhou couldn't help but sigh. His female ghost wife was really rich. She had everything. "If I want to give it to you, I'll give it to you. Do I need a reason?" Qin Zhou couldn't see her expression, but he could feel that she was in a good mood. "You're still in such a good mood after giving away your treasure. Are you jealous, Zhou? What treasure do you want?" A storage ring appeared on Tangua's hand. She floated down from Qin Zhou's body and put the storage ring on his finger. "There are a lot of things inside. They're all yours." Chapter 846. Of course, Qin Zhou didn't care about that. He was just curious about her thoughts. "Having Guogua is enough for me." Tangua smiled. "You really know how to talk. Zhou, you weren't like this at the beginning. I remember that there was a person who had a catchphrase at the beginning." Qin Zhou's face darkened. Qin Zhou, a Taoist demon hunter. His entire life, he only hunted demons and earned money. Qin Zhou hurriedly hugged her and kissed her face. "Now I have another hobby, which is to spoil my wife." All right. Tangua pointed at the storage ring. "Then this is my betrothal gift to you. You can't reject it. You like to spoil your wife, and I like to spoil my husband. This is called spoiling each other. There's nothing wrong with that." Qin Zhou couldn't reject it. When Guogua became gentle and treated him well, he really couldn't reject her. "Even if my lifespan is halved in my next life, I'm still willing to meet you." Tangua looked at him with a smile. "Don't worry, we'll meet each other every life. But if you want me to be with you, you have to perform well in each life and be obedient. You can't betray me or bully me. Then we can live happily together. Qinjiu was a bit confused. Why don't we continue our relationship? Why do we have to start over? Because that's in your next life. Can you promise that you won't do anything to hurt me in each life? Qinjiu hurriedly stood up straight and promised seriously, Qinjiu, promise that as long as I can meet Guogua in each life, I won't do anything to hurt Guogua. If I hurt Guogua, then I'll never be able to get Guogua's forgiveness. I'll be single for the rest of my life and suffer for the rest of my life. Don't worry, your promise will come true. Tanggua said with a smile. She didn't follow the script at all and didn't stop Qinjiu from making his promise. If you let me down, then there's no need to talk about the consequences. It'll be very tragic. Qinjiu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He held her little hand. You really are a hard-hearted person. You just realized. Towards people who don't treat me well and hurt me, I'm hard-hearted, she said seriously. Qinjiu believed her. Her eyes turned into crescents, filled with affection. She floated up and kissed him on the lips. As long as you're cute, I'll only treat you well. Qinjiu was about to be confused by these words. He held her hand tightly and said, I will be cute. That's fine. Tanggua was very satisfied. System, training successful. Congratulations to the host for obtaining another perfect big cutie. Aju, let's go to the next place. Tanggua floated onto Qinjiu's back. She still liked him to carry her. Qinjiu also liked to carry the ghost wife on his back. Her hands were wrapped around his neck. Her soul did not give him a cold feeling. Instead, it was warm. Qinjiu thought that his ghost wife was really powerful. Ghosts were all cold and gloomy, but she could adjust her own aura and temperature. He was lucky, he thought. Although he was not liked by his parents when he was young, his parents believed what others said and thought that he was an unlucky person. Later, when their master wanted to take him away, they happily agreed without a second thought. He didn't think that his good fortune would come later. He would get to know this unbelievably gentle female ghost who was only good to him. In this life, even if he couldn't become an immortal, he felt that it was worth it. No, he wanted to become an immortal. Only when he was strong enough would he be able to go to her place to find her. Chapter 847. The two of them went to many places and did many of the same things. She seemed to be tireless and was always interested in such things. They had already attracted the attention of all parties, but she didn't care, and he didn't care either. One day, they came to another small mountain village that they had investigated. Outside the mountain village, an old monk was sitting cross-legged on a tree stump. The old monk had a peaceful face, as if he wasn't breathing, but his face was ruddy, and one could tell that he was still alive. The old monk's body faintly emitted a gentle Buddhist light. Beside the old monk stood Fang Yunqi, who was holding a sword with a face full of hatred. Tanggua floated down from Qinjiu's back and looked at the old monk with a smile. The old monk also opened his eyes and looked at her with a pair of emotionless eyes. He stood up and chanted Amitabha. Then, he said to Tanggua, this female benefactor must be Tanggua, right? That's me. Tanggua replied. During this time, Qinjiu held her hand and stood in front of her, looking as if he wouldn't let anyone hurt her. Tanggua was in a very good mood. She liked it when the person she liked cared about her. Ah, Joe, don't be afraid. He can't beat me. I'm stronger than him, so I can protect you. Qinjiu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I'm not afraid. All right, I'm afraid that he will hurt you. So don't be afraid. I'm very strong. Tanggua raised her chin with a proud look on her face, which made him like her even more. How could his ghost wife be so adorable? He also liked it when she cared about him. How should I address you, master? This poor monk is Ming Xian. Seeing that the two of them were walking slowly and didn't look like they were going to fight, Fang Yunqi couldn't sit still. Master Ming Xian, why haven't you subdued this evil ghost yet? In his opinion, Ming Xian was willing to follow him because he wanted to subdue this evil ghost. He had invited Master Ming Xian for so long, and it wasn't easy for him to agree to help. This female ghost likes to deceive people the most. Master, it's better to quickly subdue her, lest you be deceived by her lies. Ming Xian glanced at Tang Gua and shook his head. If the evil spirit you're talking about is Benefactor Tang, then forgive this poor monk for not being able to attack Benefactor Tang. Why? Fang Yunqi couldn't believe it at all. His eyes widened, and his face became hideous. Grandmaster, she's an evil spirit. She should be taken in and her soul should be scattered. Grandmaster Ming Xian's expression was still calm. Regardless of Fang Yunqi's attitude towards him, he still smiled and said, Benefactor Tang's body is protected by virtue, so how could he be an evil spirit? Your baleful aura is too strong, so of course you can't sense it. Your eyes are blinded by hatred, so you can't sense the faith power coming from all directions, which is continuously flowing into Benefactor Tang's soul. Not to mention that this poor monk doesn't want to attack Benefactor Tang. Even if I did, I wouldn't be a match for her. Her strength is unfathomable, and this poor monk doesn't want to deal with her. Even if I wanted to deal with her, why would I go up and humiliate myself when I know I can't? Tang Guo laughed when she heard this. This world was really interesting. These people in the metaphysics circle were all very intelligent. They would carefully analyze cause and effect, and analyze the problem. They would never rashly make enemies and deal with someone. Grandmaster Ming Xian, Fang Yunqi, admired you so much back then, but I didn't expect you to be afraid of an evil spirit. You don't deserve to be called a Buddhist expert. Grandmaster Ming Xian wasn't angry at all. He was still smiling. Chapter 848. This penniless monk has never called himself a Buddhist master. On the contrary, I feel that Benefactor Tang has a faint Buddhist aura. Only someone with such an ability can be called a Buddhist master. As for whether Benefactor Fang admires this penniless monk or not, it doesn't change much for this penniless monk. This penniless monk is not money. I can't be loved by everyone. The corners of Master Mingxuan's mouth trembled. He almost said money was RMB. Recently, he had been online so much that it almost became a catchphrase. However, he still looked at Tang Guo with a smile on his face. This female ghost looked very powerful at first glance. The faint Buddhist aura she exuded made him feel threatened. He couldn't afford to provoke her. Fortunately, the Taoist priests in the group had privately messaged him. Otherwise, he would have been tricked to death by Fang Yunqi. Fang Tianshi had tricked him many times when he was young. He always sent all kinds of ghosts to him because he couldn't refuse them. He had suffered a loss in the hands of Fang Tianshi, so he wouldn't be easily tricked by Fang Yunqi. He really wanted to show unfriendly behavior to Tang Guo. Did she think that he was easy to deceive because he didn't go online? Furthermore, this female ghost had the power of merit and the power of faith floating around her. It was clear that the things she had done seemed evil, but in fact, they were the results of good. He didn't care. He just came to take a look and see the legendary powerful female ghost. He heard that she did things according to her heart and was very arrogant. No one could stop her. Fang Yunqi was almost angered to death several times. He had been curious for a long time. Since Fang Yunqi found him, he could satisfy his curiosity. At the same time, he was a little curious. How did a female ghost and a human fall in love? Recently, the jokes on the internet were not so attractive. It was much better to watch the gossip on the spot than on the internet. Fong Yunqi was about to die of anger. He always felt that ever since Tangguo appeared, nothing went smoothly for him. His intuition told him that as long as he killed Tangguo, his path would be smooth. Besides, Tangguo killed his master, so it was only right and proper for him to take revenge. Master Mingxian, are you really not willing to help catch this evil ghost? Fong Yunqi asked with a gloomy face. Mingxian still shook his head. I can't. Alright, you all said that you can't do anything about it, right? Fong Yunqi glared at Tangguo, then I'll do it myself. If I can't kill Tangguo today, I can't deal with her. One day, she will fall into my hands. Mingxian shook his head inwardly. Was he dreaming? He could kill this female ghost in his dream. Great Master Mingxian, I won't send little ghosts to the temple in the future. From now on, all the ghosts that I, Fong Yunqi, encounter will die. Fong Yunqi sneered, who told them to run into me? Mingxian couldn't wait. He was about to be tortured to death by those little ghosts that he couldn't release. This was not something he was willing to do. It was the pit that Fong Tianshi had dug for him to jump into. Almsgiver Fong, let me give you a piece of advice. Don't be so ruthless. This kind of evil spirit, it's best to get rid of it completely. Fong Yunqi could no longer listen. Since Grandmaster Mingxian is unwilling, then this Taoist will take his leave first. He took a deep look at Tangguo and turned to leave. After Fong Yunqi left, Mingxian walked in front of Tangguo. Just as he was about to say something, his phone rang. Then, Tangguo saw Mingxian, the kind-looking old monk, take out his phone from his pocket and answer it skillfully. Chapter 849. My good disciple, what's the matter? Master, come back quickly. Those little ghosts are causing trouble in the temple again. We can't hold them back anymore. They're rummaging through things and jumping around in the room. They're jumping around like idiots. Master, please save your disciple. How can you go and watch the show alone and leave your poor disciple in the temple? Tangguo heard the children's voices and looked at Mingxian with a subtle gaze. This old monk was not serious at all. Mingxian felt Tangguo's gaze and coughed lightly. He lowered his voice and said, All right, I'll be back soon. You've only been gone for a short while and you already can't control yourself. How can this poor monk have such useless disciples like you? Master, there are hundreds of ghosts and we only have a few people. Can we hold them back? It's easy for you to say that. All right. Don't be angry. This monk will be back soon. After hanging up the phone, Mingxian bowed to Tangguo with a smile on his face. This poor monk heard that Benefactor Tang has the complete rebirth scripture, as well as some methods to help little ghosts cross over and open the door to reincarnation. Yes, Tangguo answered. She understood why this old monk spoke up for her in the beginning. Mingxian's smile grew wider. Benefactor Tang's dharma is superb. This monk even admires you. To be honest, there are hundreds of troublesome little ghosts in this monk's temple. However, they are all wandering ghosts with missing memories and have never done any evil. This monk's rebirth sutra is incomplete and cannot send them into reincarnation. Therefore, this monk wishes to ask Benefactor Tang to impart the rebirth sutra and the methods to open the door to reincarnation. This request is indeed a little difficult for you, but this monk still wishes to try. No problem. Tangguo said readily, however, I have a condition. The smile on Mingxian's face almost collapsed. He quickly stopped himself. Please speak. I have some things to do next. I'll have to trouble Master Mingxian to release those little ghosts. How about it? Ming Xian's face twitched. As expected, this female ghost was not easy to deal with. She actually wanted to drag him down. However, for the sake of the Rebirth Sutra, he nodded. This monk agrees. Master Ming Xian, you don't have to worry. Just watch from the side. You don't have to do anything. You just have to take care of the aftermath. Ming Xian wanted to cry, right? What's the difference? Seeing Tang Guo enter the small mountain village, he did not follow her. He only took out his phone and called his disciples. Come back a little later. Yes, Benefactor Tang has already agreed. Hearing the cheers of his disciples, Ming Xian smiled again. He looked at the small mountain village filled with resentment and shook his head. Good and evil, how could it be so clear? When Tang Guo came out, there was a transparent scripture in her hand. Before Ming Xian could react, the scripture floated into his mind. In an instant, he understood all the contents of the scripture. The way he looked at Tang Guo changed again. Indeed, he could not afford to offend this female ghost. He consciously entered the small mountain village and began to release the souls from purgatory. As for the men who had been crippled, he didn't care about them. He just peacefully helped the little ghosts release their souls. As the years went by, the number of small villages became fewer and fewer. Gradually, not only did the metaphysics circle know about the existence of a female ghost called Tang Guo, but the secular world also had more legends about Tang Guo. They were all very curious about the female ghost and guessed her purpose for doing all those things. Every time they saw a case of human trafficking being exposed, their fear of this female ghost turned into admiration. Chapter 850. No matter who it was, they all wanted to know where Tang Guo was. There were always people who wanted to control her. But after more than 10 years, she was still the same. No one could control her. People in the metaphysics circle had always thought that Tang Guo's actions would cause her to be punished by the heavens. But after so many years, the heavens didn't even fart. They couldn't help but believe it. Back then, Qin Zhou said that she wouldn't be punished by the heavens. This time, they all believed him. On the other hand, Fang Yunqi went everywhere to catch ghosts. Whether it was in the mountains, in the city, or even overseas, as long as there were ghosts, he would be there. He only had one attitude towards ghosts, and that was to kill them. He also got married to Ning Xiangxi. When Ning Xiangxi found out that she was really pregnant with a daughter, she vaguely felt that there was a deeper meaning to the beads that Tang Guo gave her back then. That bead looked very ordinary. Even when she took it out and said that she bought it and wanted to wear it for her daughter, Fang Yunqi didn't notice anything. She felt that this bead was not ordinary. After her daughter was born, she strung this bead on a chain and let her wear it. She also told her that no matter what, she couldn't take it off. Ning Xiangxi's daughter was called Fang Xiyun. Other than catching ghosts, Fang Yunqi was very good to Ning Xiangxi. Until now, the two of them had a good relationship. But after more than 10 years, Fang Yunqi became more and more obsessed with killing Tang Guo. He also showed no mercy to some ghosts that he accidentally encountered. Even when Ning Xiangxi tried to persuade him, he didn't listen. That year, their daughter's 16th birthday. The mother and daughter waited from noon until late at night, but Fang Yunqi still didn't come back. Seeing her daughter's disappointed expression, Ning Xiangxi patted her head sadly. Your father is just very busy. Mom, why is it like this every time? Fang Xiyun didn't understand why Fang Yunqi was so obsessed with catching ghosts and killing all of them. I don't think all ghosts are bad. Dad always kills all kinds of ghosts. He even forgets my birthday. How many times has he done this? Ever since I was young, he has never celebrated my birthday with me. Ning Xiangxi didn't know how to explain. She could only comfort her. Your father has his own beliefs. We have to respect him. It's the same for Mom to celebrate your birthday with you. Alright, Mom, I know what you're saying. You don't feel good about it, right? Other people's parents are together every day, but mine only sees my father a few times a year. You feel worse than me. Mom, let's blow out the candles and make a wish. Seeing that her daughter didn't mind, Ning Xiangxi was a little happier. The next day, Fang Yinqi came back. When he returned, he told the mother and daughter, I killed quite a number of evil spirits this time.